Good evening, YouTube. Dave with Funky Sloth Comics and Collectibles, and tonight we're starting our new weekly video, and it's going to be the Funky Sloth movie and TV talk. Today, January 13th, 2021. Big news this week was that Deadpool 3 was announced by Disney for Marvel, and that was announced, I believe, on the 10th. I loved the first Deadpool. The Deadpool 2 was good as well. It was a much needed change in Marvel because, I mean, all the Marvel's movies are pretty much the same how they're made. But bringing in Deadpool was great. Ryan Reynolds was is phenomenal as Deadpool. I mean, this Deadpool 1 made, what, I believe 781 million. Deadpool 2 was around 785, right in that area. So combined total of, well, we'll just say 1.5 billion. And I believe it was only a $165 million total budget on both movies. So huge profit for Marvel. It was stupid that they were even thinking about not bringing it in. But I think Iger was worried about the fans having a rated R movie in Marvel. The good news is that they are leaving Deadpool rated R, which it has to be. Um, it'll be interesting to see who they bring in for villains, and if they're going to do a tie-in with the MCU in any way, shape, or form. Maybe they can introduce the X-Men through Deadpool. Why not? They've already kind of sort of done old X-Men, so why not bring in or introduce them somehow through this? Um, I believe they're saying you probably won't see it now until probably the end of 2023, early 2024. So we got a few years, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. Looking forward to Deadpool. The next big thing announced this week, well, actually last week, was the Godzilla versus Kong. Looks like that film is going to be going directly to streaming on HBO Max. I have my pros and cons about the streaming. However, certain movies need to be seen on the big screen, and I think Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong, I should say, needs to be seen on the big screen. Uh, but depending on how the COVID-19 situation still is, I mean, you can only hold these movies out for so long. And if you put it on HBO Max and maybe even limited big screens, um, we'll see. I know Warner Brothers stated there, everybody knows this, that they're going to put all their content to HBO Max, which irritated a lot of the movie companies and producers. I believe they're saying that the Godzilla versus Kong is slated for May 22nd or 21st release date on HBO Max and maybe limited big screens. So we'll see. Next thing, tomorrow, actually Friday night, first episode of WandaVision is coming out. It's This series is going to take place after the events of Avengers Endgame. And Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are reprising their roles as Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, and Vision. It's going to be interesting to see how they tie this all in with the MCU because the rumors are WandaVision is tying in with Spider-Man 3, which is tying in with Doctor Strange. It's that whole multiverse thing, which I think is going to confuse a lot of people. Um, because it can be confusing on how they did things over the past 20, 25, 30 years in Marvel with this whole multiverse thing. But I'm going to watch it, and I will probably do a review every week on my movie and TV talk, which is going to be every Wednesday night. But this is the first one, so we'll see how it goes, see how many people like it, and if people like it, I will keep doing it. The next big movie news and my last movie bit for the night is Morbius. Poor Morbius. That movie looks like it's being the one that's taking it really hard. Is Now it seems the release date was supposed to be in early 2020. Then it got bumped to it was going to be like the fall of 2020. Then they bumped it to March of 2021, which we all know that's not happening. March is 6 weeks away, 8 weeks away, and the way things are going, that's not going to happen. Um, so now they bumped it to October 8th of 2021, which that could be feasible. I love the Morbius character in the comics and the Amazing Spider-Man run, the Spectacular Spider-Man run, his own books. I like Morbius. That first trailer that we saw in early 2020, I loved it. Loved it. Um, it looked like it was going to be good. Jared Leto looks like he could probably play the role, so I'm hoping Leto or Leto. Well, either way, looks like he could play the role. I'm really excited about that movie. Like I said, I'm a big vampire movie fan, anyways. Any of the old vampire shows. Um, but so this will be interesting bringing him into the MCU because he's a different type of character, and we'll see what he does with that. So, form things. We had Deadpool 3 coming out, Godzilla versus Kong. It looks like it's going directly to streaming to HBO Max. WandaVision starts in 2 days. I'm going to be interested in that. I'm not the biggest fan of Scarlet Witch and Vision, but I like them in the MCU roles, so we'll see how that goes, especially with the whole multiverse thing. And Morbius. So we'll see how that all works. I'm looking forward to them. I mean, I still am a big time comic person, and we're in the modern days where they take the comics and do what they do with them. I still like the comics better than the movies, but hey, it's good that hopefully we can start getting back in the theater. I miss going to the movies. I really miss going to the movies. So our second topic for tonight is going to be my top 10 most iconic Star Wars moments. Uh, these are moments to me that define Star Wars to me. This isn't like the top 10 action. This is my iconic moments. So I have uh, one honorable mention, and that honorable mention is, excuse me, I had to look at my notes on this one, is Rebels 2017, which I love the whole Rebels TV series. But Rebels 2017, I believe it was, the episode was Twin Suns. So you got to see, after all these years, the anticipation of Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul again. The scene was great. I love Maul. Love Obi-Wan. You could feel the tension in the scene. And then the fight happened. It took 3 moves by Obi-Wan to kill Darth Maul. 3 moves. And it was like, wow. And then as Darth Maul is dying, because Obi-Wan's holding him out of respect, and he asks Obi-Wan, "Tell me, is that the chosen one?" And Obi-Wan shakes his head and answers, "It is." And everybody knew what that meant, which leads directly into Star Wars New Hope. The chosen one, Luke Skywalker. Yeah, yeah, awesome moment. So that was my honorable mention. Um, in no specific order, except for the first 2. These are my top 10. My top 10, number 1, iconic moment in Star Wars will always be 1977, Star Wars The New Hope. I was in the theater as a 9-year-old kid. The opening scroll with the iconic Star Wars theme by John Williams. It had me hooked from that moment, and is still a major part of Star Wars. Um, I see it, I hear it, I know exactly what it is. I can tell you exactly what movie theater it was. It was the Ellis Theater, Ludlow, Vermont. Sadly, it's closed. 1977, and it's an iconic theme. Everybody knows it. The scroll is awesome. So that's my number one. Number two, 1977, Star Wars New Hope. The introduction of the baddest dude in the world, in the universe, Darth Vader. When they had the battle of the Corvette scene, you see Vader come through the blown hatch, stepping over, stormtroopers like, yeah, whatever, you're nobody. But you see him come through that blown hatch. This person all dressed in black, tall, menacing looking, the mechanical breathing sound, and then James Earl Jones' voice. That scene introduced you to the most iconic movie villain in history, in my opinion. I mean, the whole part just stepping over the troopers, like, yeah, whatever, you're nobody. And then he picks up the rebel soldier there, crushes his throat. Come on, that was number two. Number three, 1980, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. And you know what I'm going to say? It's the I am your father scene. When Darth Vader tells Luke that he is Luke's father after they have the fight and he is hanging on the comm tower, and he says, Luke, I am your father. It's like, holy crap. 1980, I'm 12 years old. I'm like, holy crap. And you could see the anger, the hate, the distrust, the confusion, because Luke always wanted to know who his father was. And to find out that he's Darth Vader was just awesome. Um, and it was a shock. It shocked everybody. So that's my number three. Number four, back to Star Wars New Hope, the first Death Star battle scene. This is the first time you got to see a really good space battle. You got to see the X-Wings, the Y-Wings, the TIE Fighters, and of course, that menacing Death Star. You got to see the TIE Fighters and the X-Wings going at it. You got to see the strafing runs on the towers and on the gun positions of the Death Star. You got to see the TIE Fighters taking out the X-Wings. And then you get to see the run down the trench itself. And that was awesome. You hear the guns, and all of a sudden the guns go quiet, and that's when you see the TIE Fighters come in. And then you get to see Vader piloting his personal TIE Fighter, which is an awesome, awesome ship, by the way. And just when you think he's going to take out Luke's X-Wing, out of nowhere, laser blast takes out a TIE Fighter, hits the wall of the trench, bounces into Vader's ship. Off he goes into space, and you hear the Yahoo by Han Solo. And, I mean, the Millennium Falcon out of nowhere, which is probably the most iconic ship in Star Wars. But he comes out and he blasts that, and Vader goes off into space, and Luke, puts the torpedo down the shaft, and the Death Star blows up. Awesome scene. Number five, 1980, Empire Strikes Back, the Battle of Hoth. The first true ground battle in Star Wars movies, and I was hooked. I got to see the AT-ATs, and I saw them, and I knew I wanted one of those as a kid. I never got the full size one. I got a smaller one. The full size ones, even back then, for my mom, was expensive. But that was awesome. The whole land battle was awesome. And then finally, when the troopers get inside and they're taking over the hallways and stuff, they're setting up to take out the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon shoots the lasers, takes them out. The whole ion cannon, one blast, the ships go off using the high ion cannon as a diversion. It was a great scene. Great scene. Number six. Number six. I'm not a huge fan of the prequels. Good parts in all three of the movies. They're much better than the prequels. But 1999, Phantom Menace, The Duel of Fates. The best lightsaber fight in Star Wars history. That includes TV shows, movies, and animated, in my opinion, is the lightsaber fight between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul. I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, the pacing of the battle, the moves, the suspense of the force field doors, and of course, the music of Duel of Fates in the background. Awesome. And then you get to see Qui-Gon and Darth Maul be able to get through the force field door. They have their little fight. You know, Maul kills Qui-Gon, and you can see Obi-Wan being like, "No crap." The door opens. Obi-Wan and Darth Maul get in their fight. You think that Obi-Wan's going to lose, fall down the shaft. He's able to use the Force to help him pull himself up. He slices Darth Maul in half. Darth Maul falls down the shaft. And who would have thought that? Who would have thought that almost 20 years later, actually 18 years later, you would see that as my number 10 was there. I mean, the whole Rebel scene for my honorable mention. I mean, who would have thought that they would have actually finally went back and got to see both of them go at it. Number 7. I don't consider this a sequel, but Rogue One. And everybody knows what we're going to talk about with Rogue One. 2016, the Rogue One, the end battle where Darth Vader boards the stricken Rebel flagship, single-handedly wipes out a Rebel squad in the hallway. It's so awesome. Last week, I did which is better, the Luke Skywalker hallway scene or the Darth Vader scene. So you know my feelings. Darth Vader scene is better because of the horror aspect of it. And you got to see it. You got to see Darth Vader in his total bad self do what we always wanted to see in Star Wars with Darth Vader, just being Darth Vader. Number 8. Okay. A lot of people don't like this because it was too long a scene, which it was a long scene. But number 8 from 2005, Revenge of the Sith. Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi on what was the Mustafar. Mustafar. You have Anakin, who has finally been driven to the dark side by Palpatine, Darth Sidious. He just killed the younglings. Now he has his sight on Obi-Wan. You know, he blames everything with Padme on Obi-Wan. You know, he accuses of him. You know, and declares Obi-Wan his enemy. And one of the best lightsaber duels, one of the best, in Star Wars Begins. And in the end, Obi-Wan beats Anakin. Obi-Wan takes the high ground. He tells Anakin not to do it. Anakin, in his cocky self, does it anyways. Obi-Wan severs his legs and arm. Anakin slides down into some of the lava, burns. That's also how he gets has to have the breathing apparatus. And that is how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. Because at the end of the film, you get to see him. He says, "Lord Vader, rise." And here comes Vader. Awesome. Awesome scene. Great swordsmanship. I love lightsabers. That's one thing I do like about the Rebels TV series is there's a lot of lightsaber duels. And you kind of miss that in the first 3. There were some good ones. Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi had some good lightsaber fights, but the prequels had the better lightsaber fights. I want to get into the prequels. So, I want to get into them. Force Awakens, okay. The other 2, way too many problems. Number 9, The Mandalorian, 2020. The Luke Skywalker return scene. Season finale. It's not looking good for the Mandalorian, Grogu, and his allies when they're on the ship, and the Dark Troopers are there, smashing in the door. All of a sudden, you see that X-wing come out of nowhere. It lands. You see a single subject get out. You see in the camera a saber, but you couldn't tell the color. And I'm like, they're going to do it. They're going to bring back Luke. And then you see the hand come out, black glove, green saber. He mows down the troopers like they were nothing. And when he went in there and took his cloak off, and you got to see Luke Skywalker, yeah, that goes in as a top 10 moment in Star Wars for me. Number 10. I love this scene. It's back to Star Wars New Hope, 1977. It's when Vader force chokes Admiral Motti. You know, Admiral Motti argues with Vader, tries to belittle him by saying your sad devotion to the ancient religion. They were arguing about the Death Star, how it's unbeatable, and Darth Vader says you underestimate the Force, and he's your sad devotion to that ancient religion. And then the next thing you know, you see him grabbing his throat, and Vader begins to force choke him. They pan over, and you see Vader with his fingers clenched, force choking him. And an iconic line, I find your lack of faith disturbing. Grand Moff goes, whoa, Vader, stop. And so that is your first scene in Star Wars of Darth Vader using the Force. So that was my top 10 Star Wars moments. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I'll be back next Wednesday with some more movie and TV talk, and we'll have another poll. Not poll, but a top 10 moment. Again, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys on Friday night with the comic and collection videos. Remember, collect what you like. And good evening, and I'll see you then. Have a good night.